Hi, good evening. Welcome to our Yom Shir. We are in Masechet Shabbos, and Kufiyat Beis Amud Aleph is the page, continuing the topic of tying knots on Shabbos. What can you or can you not do when it comes to tying knots on Shabbos? And we are in Kufiyat Beis Amud Aleph, Uretzuis Min Al Vesandal. We said Uretzuis Min Al Vesandal, Kufiyat Beis Amud Aleph, towards the end of the narrow lines. Uretzuis Min Al Vesandal. So we spoke about, the Mishnah said, one is allowed, it's permitted, permissible, okay, to tie the straps of one's shoes and one's sandals. Okay. So basically, the Gemara says as follows: "The Shir Zlu Nishmas of Imori Menachem ben Akiva, my father-in-law Nochmaria ben Moshe David Zelik. Itmar hiter ratzos mino v'sandal. Yeah, what happens if the person unties the straps of his shoes and the sandal? We will discuss later the way that a sandal used to look like in the times of the Gemara. It's not the sandal we know of today. We're going to explain that later, Be'ezras Hashem. For now, let's just speak in general terms. And it says in a Memra, hiter ratzos mino v'sandal. Tanichada, what happens if you untied the straps of the sandal or the shoe? Tanichada, chayv chatas. One time it says in the Brisa, chayv chatas. Well, untying it is chiv d'oraisa. Betanya idach poto avalosu. Another Brisa says poto avalosu. The Easter is only the abonon, right? Betanya idach muta lechatchila. And the third Brisa says, or like our Mishnah, that it's permitted. So we see three levels, and they all seem to contradict each other, right? In other words, we see it's also the Oraisa, even Chiyu. Then we see that undoing the straps is just the Rabbanon. And the third statement is telling us it's Mutar Lechatchila, that it's allowed to begin with. So now that's bad news. Kasha mina lamina, kasha sandal sandal. Yeah, it's a double question. It's difficult for one statement regarding shoe to the other statement regarding shoe, and also from one sandal to the other. What's the story? Is it okay or not okay to unstrap the sandals and the shoes? That's a question. Answers the Gemara in the second wide line. Minal, aminal, yeah, loikasha. Answer number one regarding the shoe. The shoes, as opposed to the sandals, like today, in the olden days, like today, a shoe is something, obviously, that when you have a strap that's this, there is at least, I don't think the shoes were as closed as our shoes, but their shoes, there was a strap that was connected to the sole of the shoe, to the bottom of the shoe, yeah, in a very set way, in a way that was fixed forever. So now, Mina lo kasha. Hadiktani chayav chatos. Not difficult. The brisa that says you chayav chatos if you tie the or untie the strap of the shoe. But the ushkafi in Aramaic are shoemakers. That's how we say shoemaker in Aramaic. Ushkafi is a shoemaker. Okay, so we are not talking about tying the shoelaces of today. Let's leave that alone for later. We're talking first of all, the ushkefi are the what's the names the shoemakers. They would make a knot that was strong and was forever. We're following Shittas Rashi. If it's there for good for a long time, then you chayev because it's part of the shoe. That tying that knot is part of the shoe. Now, what's potter of osu? B'derabonon. What's mean b'derabonon? Potter of osu means the rabbanon is like this. Says Rashi. Rabbanon, meaning the Talmid Chachomim, when they tie, speaking of tying our shoes, when they tie the knot, not the knot that's made in the factory by the shoemaker, the knot of the shoe, like today's shoelaces, yeah? I'm not going to the questions today's shoelaces, there are other questions involved, but let's say you have a shoe with a strap that you untie and tie every day.
You mean like a little kid?
Yes, that's actually what to do, right, like today's sandals, right. You strap and unstrap it every day. Now, Chachomim, the Talmid Chachomim, they're too busy learning Torah. And they're not so fancy. So you know what they do? They don't undo it every day. They actually leave it a little bit loose, right?
Yeah.
And they keep it on for a few days, right? The only, when they undo it, says Rashi, when they go through mud, then the shoe has to be very tight to the feet. Then they undo the loose tie and they re-knot it strongly and they go through the mud. But other than that, it can stay on their feet, on and off their feet for weeks. Now, it's not forever, but it could be for anywhere between 1 day and forever. What did we say yesterday? That's called Isod Rabbanon. Aha. So funny. The Rabbanon, Isod Rabbanon. The straps of the shoes of Chachamim, of the Talmidei Chachamim, they don't mind that the shoes are a bit loose and they just basically glitch in and out of the shoe every morning and every evening. And that can stay there for, not forever, until the next time to go through the mud. That's the second case. Now the third case, mutar lechatchila b'dibnei mechoiza. What kind of shoes you're allowed to do and undo every day? Because it's allowed, because it's done every day. That's why it's okay. Because for sure you will stay just 24 hours or less. Bnei mechoiza are mentioned many times in the Gemara as high society people. Bnei mechoiza were people that were very fancy and they wanted their shoes to stay on their feet nice and tight. They would tie it every morning nice and tight, and they would undo it every evening, like Chosheva mentioned, and therefore, such people, because they do an undo every day, it's allowed l'chatchila, because that's for sure the rule. So that's shoe. So we're talking about the Isser D'Oraisa is the knot of the body of the shoe that's made in the factory. The one that's the Rabbanon is the one belonging to the Rabbanon, up to a day or a week or so, and then they undo it when they have to. And the one that's undone every day, that's allowed lechatchila. Let's continue. Sorry for the break. Now continues the Gemara. Kuf Yud Beis Amud Aleph. Welcome. Kuf Yud Beis Amud Aleph. We are now in the third wide line of Kuf Yud Beis Amud Aleph. Says the Gemara, sandal a sandal loy kasha. What does it mean? We saw three statements regarding sandal, meaning one time we saw that it's isod oraisa to undo the strap of the sandal. Another one we said it's only also the rabbanon, and the third one it's absolutely fine. What's going on here? Says the Gemara, hodik tani chayav chatos. When a sandal is chayav chatos, bedetai dekatri ushkefi, meaning. As I told you, and I'll tell you now more clearly, the sandals back then didn't actually have any straps that connected to them by the factory. Most sandals, and I actually saw a very nice diagram of such a sandal, but I can't share it online now. They had, in other words, they had those like hooks, by the side, and to those hooks you had straps connected. But if you undo the strap, all you had is just the sole. You have the sole, S-O-L-E, not S-O-U-L. You have the sole of the sandal completely separate, and there was some mechanism to tie the two straps to it. That's the way it was. However, there's an exception. This is exception. The tying, from some reason, the Arab merchants, the tying, they were fancier people or whatever. Maybe they would walk around a lot. So they would have, as opposed to other people, they would have a strap that was connected to it permanently. That's a chiyuv d'oraisa. If you tie or untie such a thing that was part of the manufacturing, it's a problem d'oraisa. Second, potur v'losu, which now we're going to level number 2, one level down. When do we say that the sandal is also just the rabbanon? But the chumrata dekatri inhum, which means a regular chumrata is a kesher. The knot that inhu, they themselves, regular people, regular customers, people, sandals of most people, they just tie them and untie them and undo them. Rashi says for a week or a month. That's not so difficult, this Rashi, because at the end of the day,
they're not so fancy.
They're not so fancy and therefore not so temporary. They're not so permanent, and they only stay there for a week or a month, and then you undo it. Because it's undone, so what's the level if you do it anywhere between 1 day and forever? The Rabbanon. As we always said. Very good. As the Mishnah said, we're going with Rashi now. It's not Doraisa, right. Now, when is one mutar lechatchila? That's very, very interesting. Which one are you allowed to wear on Shabbos and tie and untie on Shabbos? The sandal the nafki beitrei, which means sometimes people are so poor the two people would use the same pair of sandals and they would adjust it and readjust it every day. When the father has to go to kollel or to work, he would wear it, and his son would wear it another time of the day. Every day they would have to do an undo to adjust and play around with it because another person has to use it. And the Gemara is going to give us a story right now to actually bring this to life. Says the Gemara Kedar Yehuda, the same that story of a sandal worn by two people and therefore has to be untied every day, and therefore in Shabbos it's okay because you undo it every day. That's the story of Rav Yehuda. Listen to this. The Rav Yehuda, Achua the Rav Salah Chasida, Rav Yehuda, the brother of Rav Salah the Chosid, Haveleahu Zugad the Sandali. He had one pair of sandals. They were so poor. He had one pair of sandals. Zimni in the Nafik Be'ihu. Sometimes he himself would walk around with it. Zimni Nafik Be'yanuke. In other words, the son and the father, they're not the same size. So you have to unstrap and restrap it according to the size of the shoe, of the foot. Yeah. Right? So now he had a question, a halachic question. Also look אתה יכול להדליק בבקשה את המזגן? סליחה, ממש חמור. תודה. עשה לקמי דאביי, תודה. עשה לקמי דאביי, they came to Abaye, right? Okay, and he asked him, Omar lei, who feud beis Omud Aleph, Rabbi? We are in the 6th or 7th wide line, yeah? The line starts with the word Achua, yeah? Achua, the Rav Salah Chasida Aveleahu Zugad the Sandali. He had one pair of sandals for everybody. Zim de nafik be'iu, sometimes he would wear it. Zim de nafik be'enuke, sometimes the little child would wear it, unstrapped, tighter, smaller, they would manage. Also l'kameda Abaye. He came to Abaye, this Rav Yehuda came to Abaye, Omar le ki agavna mai, what's halacha regarding Shabbos? Am I allowed l'chatchila to unstrap this sandal on Shabbos? Yes or no? Because I undo it every day. Is it also derabanan or is it mutar? Lechatchila, Omar le, listen to this. Omar le Abaye chayv chatos. Chayv chatos. Omar le, so Rav Yehuda asked him chayv chatos. Hashta now, potor aval also kakashali. My question was, am I bichlal also derabanan or is it mutar lechatchila? Because it's daily use, yeah? Chayv chatos komartli? You're telling me chayv chatos? Where do you take chayv chatos from, Rabbi? So he says, I'll tell you why. My time answers Abaye, according to Rashi. My time, no, excuse me, my time. No, sorry. He's asking Abaye why. Yeah. In other words, Abaye is asking back my time. Abaye asked him back, why do you assume that it should be okay, should be allowed? Because Abaye didn't know the whole picture. Omar le Rav Yehuda answers Abaye, Mishum de bechoil nami, even during the weekday, Zimni nafik be'ano, sometimes I go out with it, Zimni nafik be'yanuka, sometimes my child. And because sometimes this, sometimes that, we undo it on an everyday basis. He goes to Cheder and he goes to Koil and he goes to the Makolet and he goes to Masmidim. Omar le Yehochi, if so says Abaye, mutar lechatchila. In other words, says Abaye, if that's a story, what? Not only not Chayav Chatas because it's not forever. Not only that, it's even better. Not even the Rabbanon, it's not Osir. Why? Because you don't leave it there for a week. Your child is not going to go for a week to school. Every day they would do an undo for different people. So it's mutar lechatchila, as we said before. Very nice. Now the following sugya, Rabbi Yirmiyah, Matzata ken Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Yirmiyah.
There was also a mice that saw someone had only one pair of clothing.
Let's go. Now we're going to touch on a subject that's to do with both tying and with the subject of muktzah. Let's see. Rabbi Yirmiyah have a ka'azil basar Rabbi Abo bekarmelis. Rabbi Yirmiyah walked after Rabbi Abo in the Carmelis. Now we know what's a Carmelis. Carmelis is a place which is not Reshus HaYochid, and nor is it Reshus HaRabim. It's in between, which means if you take from a Carmelis to Reshus HaYochid or Carmelis to Reshus HaRabim, you'll be only Chayiv Isur D'Rabbanon, not to be Mezalzel, but Isur D'Rabbanon. Now, if Sikle Retzua Desandale, in the middle of the Carmelis could be a forest, the beach, a field which is open, hefker. So now those places which are Carmelis, in the middle of there, the Retzua, the Retzua of the sandal, the strap of the sandal, all of a sudden broke, tore away. Amarle, mein yavedle, what shall I do now? I have a big problem. Why? Because he can't walk barefoot and he can't carry the sandal. Let's say he wants to walk barefoot. Oh, it's still also the Rabbanon, even though it's not Rosh Hashanah, it's common, he can't walk and wear it. So what shall I do now? What can I do? Amarle. So now Rabbi Abo said very easy, very good, and he said, Call Gemilach, take a fresh reed, yeah, reed that's fresh, the chazil ma'achel behema, meaning in that forest or wherever they were in the field, you could find lying on the ground reeds that were good enough for behema to eat. Who cares the behema can eat it? It means that it's not muktzah. It's not muktzah. So you're allowed to take it and it's not muktzah. V'kroich iluyei. And now you're allowed to, as I said, the sandals, they are basically relying on outside retzuas. The retzuas just, poofed away. Now the gemi is what you can wear and tie it around, obviously in a way that's okay. Why? It's only for one day. It's for one day. What about the gemi? It's not muktzah. You should be aware of the fact, I'm telling you already now, the Gemara will tell us that the shoe was muktzah. Why was the shoe muktzah? Because the shoe that has the strap that poofed out, that tore away on the side, on the outside. Imagine yourself more or less the shoes that we have, the biblical no, what? It's not useful anymore because people don't tie the outside. This one tore on the outside, on the outer part of the shoe, where it's more knicker, it's more visible, and it's ugly to tie it over there. In such a situation, people already either throw it in the garbage or they do something else we'll see later, but it's not called a kli. Now listen, unbelievable. I saw the Shulchan Aruch, and Shulchan Aruch says we allow, because this is a matzav of hefsid merubeh, you don't lose your sandal, so you're allowed to actually wear the sandal even though it's muktzah in order not to lose money. Which money? The sandal itself is worth money. That's a big chiddush. Because the Mishnah Berurah says in other places that muktzah overrides hefsed merubah even. You're not allowed to have hefsed. There are many places either way. I'm making a video of Yom Kippur. I don't know. I saw sometimes the Mishnah Berurah saying that you can, yeah, you're not allowed to, you should lose muktzah, yeah, even though you're losing money, in order not, as long as, in other words, don't touch it, don't move the muktzah, even in the price of losing money. And here we see the other way around. Here we see no, because the shoe is expensive, it's a sandal, so you do wear it, wearing it with a gemi, and keep walking with it, even though, yeah, you're doing muktzah not to lose. No, gumi is elastic band. Gemi over here is a reed, it's like a leaf, like a reed, kaneh, but a soft one that an animal can eat. So it's not muktzah. I can feed my animal with that.
That's going to hold the sandal until he gets home.
Exactly. They will hold the sandal until you go home.
Gets home.
What? Once he gets home, he can be barefoot or wear a different pair. It's strong enough for part of the way. I saw the Mishnah Berurah says, the Mogen Avram says, you're only allowed to use this 1 second, but don't use something better than that. Why not use something better? Because the better thing you may leave for later. And then you run into Sodabonon. You dafka put something that's a bit flimsy and also good for the animals, because this way you know you're going to take it off before the end of the day. The dafka. Now, another story.
Apollo Biad, there was only one pair of shoes, only for him.
No, it's a different story. That's not the guy with the one pair of shoes. No, that's a different person. That's Abirmiyah. Different. Abaye. Abaye Avakai Kameda of Yosef. Another similar story, but different. Abaye was, Kai was standing in front of Rav Yosef. Abaye was a Talmud of Rav Yosef. Ifsik Retzua. Same story. Also, the Retzua, the outer part of the Retzua tore away of the sandal. Amalei. What shall I do? Now they were not in the Carmelites, my friends. Where were they? In the Chotzer, in the indoors, in the Chotzer, in the house. What shall I do now? Amalei Shavke, leave it alone. You're not allowed to touch it. The shoe is muktzeh because the sandal was torn on the outside, and you're not going to fix it on the outside because it looks ugly. Mimela, this is not a kli anymore. If it's not a kli, it is muktzeh. Don't touch it. What's the difference between this story and Al Birmia? In Al Birmia's story, we said you're allowed to keep wearing the shoe even though it's muktzeh and make that flimsy makeshift kesher with the animal food. And here we say don't touch. What's the difference? Answers the Gemara. Hosom loy mintar, ocho mintar. Ay 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 ay. Over there, it was in the Carmelis. It's not saved, it's not kept, and it's not guarded. Over here, it's guarded. Which one second? Over there in the field, in the forest, you're going to leave it there till Motzei Shabbos. Thieves are going to come, animals are going to come. Who knows? It's not a safe place. That's what he meant to say. Yeah. Here in the Chotzer, it's guarded. It's mintal. So you're not losing anything. Why should you touch muktzeh? You can't touch muktzeh because you're not losing anything over here. It's in the Chotzer, indoors or inside the courtyard. Keep an eye on it, and everything is good. Beseder, Yaakov. Yeah. Now, frag the Gemara now, a whole new question. Frag the Gemara, v'amonahu. Up until now, we assume that it's not considered a kli because the outside retzua is torn. Frag the Gemara, that's not true. V'amonahu, it is considered a kli. And this is something that he himself was asking. Abaye is asking a question. The iba ina, if I want, says Abaye, hafichna le miyamin lesmol. Oh, what does it mean? Why are you telling me? Imagine yourself a sandal with a strap. Yeah, the outer part of the sandal is here, it tore. The inner part is good. And you're saying you're not going to redo, you're not going to reattach the outside. It's very ugly. And everyone sees the outside part of your foot. Now, let's say it happened in the inside, closer to the body, to the area between your feet. Nicht gefährlich. People don't see it as much. The inner side of your shoe is less visible than the outside, right? All the fancy shoes, the nice retzua with the strap and the fancy gold stuff is more on the outside, if you noticed. Why? No, 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 no. Mitzad being able to walk, I can tie it either here or there. Mitzad aesthetics, the way it looks to people, if it's knotted, if it's tied on the outside, it's not nice looking, and people don't do it at all. It really looks funny. And only on the inside, it's okay. Frek the Gemara, and they're going to get it. Why can't I just recycle it? Back then, the difference between the right foot, the right shoe, and the left shoe was not so significant. So, Frek the Gemara, listen, you know what I could do? You're telling me that, let's say this is my right sandal, yeah? On the outside, if I tie it, it looks really ugly. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to change it from left to right. I'm going to wear my left one on my right shoe, my right one on my left shoe. So what's outside there becomes inside now, obviously. And that would be a good idea. And it's still called a clean. It's not muktzeh, right? I can recycle, reuse it, and yes, tie the outside, turn it to my left foot. Now the outside is now the inside of the left one, if you keep the cheshbon, and now it's a very nice shoe, and it's okay. So why are you telling me that it's muktzeh? It's not muktzeh. I would retie it and change and swap legs, swap feet, and now it will be inner. The inner part of my left foot will be okay. הוא יכול עכשיו לעשות את זה because you'll tie it and untie it on Motzei Shabbos.
They were the same, definitely were the same shape.
They're more or less the same shape. They're more or less the same shape. They're easy enough to be interchangeable.
So how come things change up?
Omerle, I don't know. Things change. Today we're more advanced in these things. Omerle, here comes the whole new part of the sugya. Answers Rav Yosef to Abaye. Midikametzaretz Rabbi Yochanan liba de Rabbi Yehuda shma min halachot Rabbi Yehuda. This sounds like Chinese to us. I'll just translate. Basically, it says like this: I'll prove to you that business, the turnaround trick of changing right to left, doesn't work halachically because we have a machlokes between Tanakam and Rabbi Yehuda, whether we say such a thing or not. And since Rabbi Yochanan holds like Rabbi Yehuda, mashma halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. Now everything will be explained. Everything will be explained. Basically, I'll tell you in one word, in one sentence. Rabbi Yehuda, we're going to see soon the sheet of Rabbi Yehuda, and he holds that halachically, yeah, if you have the outside, the retzua, torn, poofed away, it doesn't help to tie and change it to the other foot Halachically, it doesn't work, and soon we're going to see why. Let's see. Let's see. The Tanya. Now we're going to see a whole new brisa, nice and slow. Zok the brisa like this. Before we continue, I want to tell you akdama, a little introduction. The akdama is as follows. We know who cares whether a shoe is called a shoe or not. Machpat. For three nafkaminas. First of all, we said Shabbos. Is it mukta or not mukta? As you said very nicely, if it's not usable, it's mukta. It's like a stone, right?
Yeah.
What about another halacha of tuma v'tayra? We know when something loses the name of a kli, loses the status of a kli, it doesn't have tuma anymore. The tuma goes away, right? And the third nafkamina, specifically only for shoe, is chalitza. We're going to discuss it later. We know, yeah, a woman whose husband died with no children, she has to do chalitza to the brother. She takes off his shoe. And the question is, what's called halachically a shoe? Not every shoe is a good shoe for chalitza. The Tanya says the Brisa. Sandal shenifseku shtei oznov. A sandal shenifseku shtei oznov means what? Shtei oznov are the two straps, the two strap holders, yeah, that you hold the sandal with, also mashma with your hands, that are in the back part of the shoe, closer to the heel. Oy shtei talsioisov. Talsioisov are like two rings that are closer to the toes, and that's where you tie the retzua. That's where you tie the retzua. So let's say both of them, all in all, there are four. Yeah, there are like four spitzkalach, yeah, in the sandals. Let's say both back ones or both front ones, both are gone. Oy shanita al kolakaf shaloi, the entire back of the heel completely is gone, is already all scraped off. Toho, everyone agrees it's toho. It doesn't have any tuma v'tara anymore. The tuma goes away from it because it's not a kli. If it's missing two out of four strap holders, out. It's missing the sole, out. Now, what happens with achas me'ozlov?
Back of a shoe came off.
Yes, 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 yes. Achas me'oznov or achas mitos yosov. Or let's say one of the oznaim, one of the back holders, or one of the front holders, one of them is gone, but you still have three out of four good. Oy shenit al roy v'kaf sheloi. Most of the back of the heel is off, but not all of it. Tome, Tanakama says that even though one of the strap holders is poof out, and listen to me, even the outer one, even the one that the world can see, and if I tie it again, it's going to look really funny. Nobody will accept you to the job. Nobody will find your shidduch. You're out of the community. Yeah, very funny looking. So it's still Tome. Why is it still Tome? You know why? Because I can play the trick of the turnaround. Tanakama believes that as long as I could, in theory, change it and tie it and change the outside to be the inside because it's the other foot, then it's okay. Then it's still Tome. It's still called a Kli. Rabbi Yehuda Oimer. Rabbi Yehuda says no. Rabbi Yehuda says I don't believe in that. Nifsik apnimi is Tome. If the inner one is the one that broke off and torn, it's Tome. Why? Nobody sees what's happening inside my sandal. Only the very professional yachne, but otherwise no. And therefore I can retie it, redo it, and everything will be good. It's still Tome. Still called a Kli. Achitzoino tohoir. What's a chitzoino toho? Ooh, says Rabbi Yehuda. No, I don't believe in that business of retying. If the outside strap is torn, what's going to be now? You're not going to retie it, says Rashi. And even if you will, listen to the lomdus of Rashi. Even if you will retie it and put it in the new foot, it's a new kli. Get what I'm saying? You created a new kli. The right shoe is not a right shoe anymore. You may tie it again to make it to the left shoe. So that's a new kli. If it's a new kli, then it's tov because it became a non-kli, and then you redid it to be a new kli, and therefore it's tov, says Rabbi Yehuda. In other words, we're getting clearer now. Basically, let's go back to the story of Abaye and of Yosef. The fact that Abaye could retie, make a new knot on the outside, and poof, swap it and wear it but the left foot, and therefore making it inside of that foot, that, according to Rabbi Yehuda, doesn't help. Rabbi Yehuda doesn't view that as a kli, neither for Tuma nor for Shabbos, as we'll see soon. Now, who told you Aloch is like Rabbi Yehuda? Is Das Yochid. That's what we're going to prove soon. Okay? Now, v'omar ula, v'tem Rabba bar bar Chana, omar Rabbi Yochanan, that's Rabbi Yochanan which we mentioned before, kemachloikes linyan tuma, kach machloikes linyan Shabbos. As we said, the same machloikes between Tanakama says that it is Tomeh. Why? Because they believe you can swap it and it's called the same Kli. Says Rabbi Yochanan, Machlokes linyan Tuma, Kach Machlokes linyan Shabbos. The same Machlokes would be for Shabbos, meaning, is it called a Kli for Shabbos, or is it Muktzah? According to Rabbi Yehuda, it's Muktzah, gone, out the window. Now you're creating from left to right, that's a new Kli. Yeah, it's like you made a hole, right? You made a hole in the Kli the size of a rimon, it's not a kli anymore. Now you stuffed it, it's tar again. Aval lo linyan chalitza. Now this is something very interesting which you're going to elaborate on. The inyan chalitza, we don't say that. Whatever that means, yeah? Everyone agrees. When it comes to chalitza, if you have a torn shoe and you do it again, and you may use it for the other foot, it's called a good shoe for chalitza. That's what Rabbi Yochanan said. Now the question is, what's this business with chalitza? The Havinan ba. We had a question regarding Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan, Aliba Deman, according to who did he say that for chalitza everybody agrees? When you say about two people, everyone agrees. I'm going to ask you a question, yeah? Let's say you say, yeah, the whole week you argue with someone, shall we drink a Coke or Pepsi? Coke, Pepsi, Coke, Pepsi. On Shabbos, we all agree. Who do we agree? Everyone agrees to Coke? Or everyone agrees to Pepsi? Well, who agrees to who? Everyone likes to have agreement. That everyone should agree with them. Who is the one? Which one of the Tanoim, according to Rabbi Yochanan, agrees to the other one when it comes to chalitza? The Gemara is slowly discovering that. Let's say you want to tell me that Rabbi Yochanan meant Rabbanon. What does it mean? What did Rabbanon say? Let's review. Rabbanon said for Tuma and for Shabbos, it's still Tomeh. You may take your outer shoe that's torn, change it to become the other foot. Then nobody will see that little mess over there. So it's still called a Kli, right? And Midele Inyan, let's see how the Gemara elaborates. And for what? And for Chalitza, the Chomim would say that's different business. Comes to Chalitza, we all agree that Rabbanan would agree to Rabbi Yehuda that it's not called a good shoe for Chalitza. Let's see. Midilinian Tuma Mana Havi. Since regarding Tuma, it's called a Kli, a Mana, the one that's torn on the outside because you can flip it. Le'inyan Shabbos Nami Mana Havi. For Shabbos, it's also called a Kli. And Abaya in our story, according to Tanakama, could keep wearing his shoe, his sandal. According to this pshat, when it comes to chalitza, you want to be able to do chalitza in what? Let's say you have a torn shoe of the right, and now he's wearing it. Yeah. Oh, that's a problem, by the way, because comes to chalitza, and I think we'll continue that. No, we'll continue it now. In chalitza, let's say the guy had his left shoe torn, right, on the outside. What's the solution according to Tanakama? Great. Tie it, but everyone's going to see my disgusting left shoe over there. No, don't worry, honey. Just change the left foot of the outside that's ugly and visible. Wear it on your right foot. Everything will be good. Nobody will see. According to Chachomim, means that's a good solution. Halachically, the other way around from before, but it's the same concept. Yes, there's a reason why I changed sides. Good you noticed. Wear your left shoe, which is torn on the outside, change it to the right. Nobody will see. Now the outside became inside in that shoe, right? That foot. And now that could be a nice shoe for chalitza, right? Yeah. In other words, why am I dafka changing sides? For a reason. Because you should know that by chalitza, the only foot that she should take off the shoe from is dafka the right foot. That's halacha. Yeah? Yeah, regel hanal hamiyumenes, the right one. Ve'atanan. Now you want to tell me that when it comes to chalitza, we become more particular. When it comes to chalitza, you can't do that turnaround shtick. You want to tell me that Chachamim are the ones agreeing to Rabbi Yehuda, and they would say that you can't do that? Wrong. Vatnan, it says in the Mishnah, Cholza shel small biyamin, chilatzasa kshera. No, that's not true. The Gemara says, the Mishnah says, let's say he wore the left foot, excuse me, the left shoe on the right foot, kosher, givaldig. If so, what's the problem? If Chachamim believe that for Tuma and for Shabbos and whatever you want, that turnaround business is good, and there is no halacha in chalitza that requires a shoe, just a foot. You can wear mamish completely left on your right. Why should it be a problem? It should be okay. That will continue tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to, I think, revise from the beginning of the chalitza business, and we're going now. Mainly, what we're about to prove is that Rabbi Yochanan explained the whole business of the machloikes more according to Rabbi Yehuda. Yeah. In other words, Rabbi Yochanan focused on Rabbi Yehuda more than on Chachamim. Therefore, halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda that you cannot view the shoe that's torn on the outside, right or left, to be changed to the other foot, and therefore it maintains its name of shoe of a kli. We don't believe in that. Once torn, out the window. I could change it. There'll be a new kli. It's not called. That's done. It's muktzeh. It's treif. It's toho. It's not a kli anymore. Gemarnu. That's what Rabbi Yehuda holds, and that's what we hold la'alocha. And therefore, the story of Abai had no choice. He had to leave his shoe there in the chotzer. How it's going to work out, we're Ezras Hashem. We'll see more tomorrow. We have to start Ma'ariv now. Thank you so much to everybody here in the room, everybody in the YouTube channel, and in our Torah Anytime followers. Thank you, all of you, especially to Akiva. We have another Akiva who watches us besides all the Akivas over here and myself. Thank you. And your Yaakov, it's similar. Atzlacha v'rocha, we have an amazingly good year with Chef and Achas Bocha Batzlocha Yeshua Batzol Klal Yisrael.